Welcome to Bears News Fan Report, your trusted source for everything Chicago Bears. This is where you get the unfiltered truth, the strategic insights, and all the updates you need about our beloved team. If you're serious about staying informed, you're in the right place. Something's brewing in Chicago, and it's the kind of story that could reshape how we think about this roster moving forward. I'm talking about a situation that involves one of our most important players, a guy who's been absolutely instrumental in our recent success, and yet his name is starting to surface in conversations that frankly make me uncomfortable. Before I get into the specifics, I need you to understand the context here, because this isn't just about one player. This is about the direction of our franchise and the decisions that will define whether we're legitimate contenders or just another team that couldn't capitalize on a championship window. Let me take you back to April 2023. The Bears were on the clock with the 10th overall pick after trading away the first selection to Carolina. The debate was intense. Jalen Carter, the Georgia defensive tackle, who many considered a generational talent, was still on the board. The temptation was real, and I'll admit, I was one of those fans who saw the appeal. But Ryan Poles and his staff made a different call. They selected Darnell Wright, the offensive tackle out of Tennessee, and that decision has proven to be absolutely brilliant. Wright came in and immediately stabilized our right tackle position. In a league where protecting your quarterback is everything, having a reliable bookend on the offensive line isn't just important, it's essential. And Wright hasn't just been reliable, he's been dominant. Through his first 3 seasons, he's developed into exactly what we needed him to be, a top-tier right tackle who can handle elite pass rushers and open massive lanes in the run game. The proof is in the performance. Just look at what happened when the Bears faced the Eagles earlier this season. Wright went head-to-head against Jalen Carter, the same player some fans wanted us to draft instead of him, and he absolutely pancaked him multiple times. It wasn't just one play, it was a statement. Wright dominated that matchup so thoroughly that it silenced any remaining debate about whether we made the right choice in that draft. According to Pro Football Focus, Wright allowed only 2 pressures on 40 pass blocking snaps in that game and finished with a 73 run blocking grade. The Bears rushed for 281 yards that day, and Wright was a massive reason why. He was moving defenders, creating holes, and doing exactly what elite offensive linemen do. That performance wasn't an anomaly either. It was a continuation of the high-level play he's been delivering consistently, especially over the second half of this season. Now, here's where things get complicated, and this is the part that's been keeping me up at night. Despite everything Wright has accomplished, despite how crucial he's been to our success, his name is starting to come up in trade speculation. I'm hearing whispers, seeing reports, and connecting dots that suggest the Bears might be considering moving on from him. And I have to tell you, as someone who bleeds orange and blue, this concerns me deeply. Let me be clear about something. I understand the business side of football. I know that sometimes teams have to make difficult decisions to improve the roster overall. But when you have a player who's performing at an elite level, at one of the most important positions in football, you don't just casually consider trading him away. There has to be a compelling reason, and right now, I'm struggling to see what that reason could be. The offensive line has been one of our biggest strengths this season. After years of watching our quarterbacks get destroyed behind subpar protection, we finally have a unit that can actually hold up against elite defenses. Wright has been the cornerstone of that transformation. He's durable, he's consistent, and he's still on his rookie contract, which means he's providing incredible value relative to his cap hit. Those are exactly the kinds of players you build around, not the ones you shop. So why would the Bears even consider this? The only explanation that makes sense to me is if they believe they can get significant draft capital in return and use those picks to address other needs. Maybe they're looking at the upcoming draft class and seeing offensive tackle prospects they believe can replicate Wright's production at a cheaper cost. Or perhaps they're planning a major roster overhaul and want to stockpile picks to execute that vision. But even then, trading away a proven commodity for uncertain future assets feels incredibly risky. Think about what we gave up to get Wright in the first place. We used a top 10 pick on him, which is premium draft capital. Those picks are supposed to land you franchise cornerstones, and that's exactly what Wright has become. If we trade him now, we're essentially hitting the reset button on that position, and there's no guarantee we'll be able to find someone of his caliber again. The 2023 draft class proved how difficult it is to find starting quality offensive tackles. 5 were taken in the first round, and Wright looks like the best of the bunch. The alternatives selected on day 2 have combined for just 30 career starts. That's the reality of the position. What makes this even more frustrating is the timing. We're finally building something special here in Chicago. We've got a young quarterback who's showing real promise. We've got playmakers on both sides of the ball. And we've got an offensive line that can actually protect and create running lanes. This is the foundation you build on, not tear apart. Trading Wright now would be like renovating your house and then deciding to knock down one of the load-bearing walls. It doesn't make strategic sense. I also think about the message it sends to the locker room. Wright has done everything asked of him. He's improved every single year, he's stayed healthy, he's been a professional, and he's delivered when it matters most. If the organization turns around and trades him anyway, what does that tell other players? It creates uncertainty and makes everyone wonder if they're next. Championship teams are built on stability and trust, and moves like this undermine both. Now, I want to be optimistic here because that's what we do as Bears fans. We believe in our team even when things look uncertain. So let me present the best-case scenario. Maybe these trade discussions are just due diligence. Maybe Ryan Poles is simply listening to offers to gauge Wright's market value without any real intention of pulling the trigger. Good general managers explore every option, and it's possible this is just part of that process. I'm choosing to believe that Poles recognizes how valuable Wright is and that these conversations won't actually lead anywhere. But I'd be lying if I said I wasn't worried. We've seen too many times in this league where teams get cute with their roster management and end up regretting it. Trading away a player like Wright could be one of those decisions that looks questionable now and disastrous in hindsight. I really hope the Bears are thinking long and hard about this, because once you trade a player of this caliber, there's no going back. The other element to consider is what Wright means for our future. If we're serious about building a sustained winner, we need to keep our best players, especially the young ones who are still ascending. Wright is only entering his 4th season. Most offensive linemen don't hit their prime until their mid to late 20s, which means Wright's best football is likely still ahead of him. Trading him now would mean giving up on that upside, and that feels premature. I keep coming back to that Eagles game because it encapsulates everything Wright brings to this team. He went up against one of the best defensive tackles in football, a player who was considered a superior prospect coming out of college, and he absolutely dominated. That's not luck, that's elite-level play. Those are the kinds of performances that define careers and help teams win championships. You don't trade players who deliver in those moments. So where does this leave us? Honestly, I'm hoping this is much ado about nothing. I'm hoping the Bears recognize what they have in Darnell Wright and that any trade discussions are purely exploratory. But the fact that his name is even being mentioned in these conversations tells me something is happening behind the scenes, and as fans, we need to be prepared for any outcome. I want to hear from you in the comments. Do you think the Bears should even consider trading Darnell Wright? What would it take for you to be okay with moving him? Or do you believe he's untouchable and should be part of our long-term plans? Drop your thoughts below because I genuinely want to know how you're feeling about this situation. If you want to stay on top of every development with the Chicago Bears, make sure you're subscribed to Bears News Fan Report and hit that notification bell. This is where you get the insider perspective, the honest analysis, and the passion of a true Bears fan who lives this team every single day. Share this video with your fellow Bears faithful, because we need to stick together through whatever comes next. I'll see you in the next video with more breaking news and analysis. Bear down.